My name is Jake Urich. I am the co-founder of Pearl Edison. We have a software platform that supports energy efficiency retrofits. So we're working in the residential electrification space. And I'm here today to talk to you about driving residential electrification with novel partnerships. Why is residential electrification important? Well, 20% of US GHG emissions come from residential energy usage. And so if you care about our climate goals, then addressing residential electrification is important. There are over 130 million US households, and 93 million of those are single-family households. Why is that 93 million number important? It sticks out to me because that means that 93 million families have to make kitchen table decisions that result in residential electrification. That means that American families have to choose to install a heat pump, to upgrade to a heat pump water heater, to decide to start cooking with an induction cooktop. If you consider that each family has multiple stakeholders and many of these decisions will be made not at one time but over many years, that is a staggering number of decisions that need to be made to electrify. And so with that tall task, I thought it might be useful to look to the past for ways that we previously electrified. Go back to the early 1900s. A lot of homes in the United States did not have electricity. And so if you look at some of these photos, I want you just to think for a second about what it would mean to put up poles and wires from coast to coast and from Mexico to Canada. That's an absolutely daunting task. And so the problem statement in the early 1900s was something like, make electricity available in every US home. Now, if you think about it, the cities had it relatively easy. There were lots of people all close by and lots of businesses who could make use of electricity. And so with a lot of people and a lot of businesses in a relatively tight area, investors poured money into building infrastructure. They said, there's a lot of people who are going to build or buy my electricity, and it's pretty easy to build electric wires. But things were a lot more difficult in rural America. There were longer distances to travel and then less people and businesses to use those lines once they were there. Now, the federal government saw that this was a problem, and they said, why don't we make low-interest loans available for folks that want to put up poles and wires in rural America? And they said, this is something that might help incentivize this. Well, it turns out all those investor-owned utilities in cities like New York or Chicago or St. Louis, that wasn't enough to get them to start building poles and wires in rural places. But then applications for these loans started pouring in from groups of rural farmers. And these farmers said, we want to build the poles and wires. And so a new group's formed. They called them rural electric co-ops. And it was basically farmers who owned these poles and wires and agreed to pay back the interest over time when they were able to profit from having businesses that functioned with electricity. Why is this interesting? This is interesting because in the 1930s, 9 out of 10 rural households did not have access to electricity. By the 1950s, almost all of them did. So in 15 years, there was a massive shift where we went from very, very low adoption to higher adoption. Now, what caused this change? I would argue that there are two things. First, there was a novel partnership. These farmers banded together to build new organizations called rural electric co-ops, and it was enough for them to start springing up in every state across the country. This structure worked so well that rural America adopted it immediately and said, this is how we are going to bring electricity to all the people that live in these less populated areas. The second thing that was key was that this the assist from the federal government with low-interest loans, actually worked when you had the right structure in place. And so I think the lessons from this are that you need to have the right structure, the right partnerships to take advantage of this, and you also need to have the right assist. Okay, so let's move forward to today. The problem statement for electrification is a little different. It might read something like, decarbonize American homes while maintaining and improving the quality of life. We have all come to appreciate the quality of life that exists with natural gas appliances that keep our homes warm because gas is cheap and it was easy to get it where it needed to go. But now we need to make a shift, but we don't want to lose the quality of life in the process. Okay, so what are the challenges here? I'll run through them. I would say the first challenge is energy efficient alternatives are costly, complex, and they perform worse if not installed correctly compared to like-for-like replacements of gas appliances. So said a little bit differently, if we don't do this right, homeowners are not going to be incentivized to make this shift. We need to make sure that it's just as good as what we have today. Okay, got it. The second thing, customer acquisition costs are high for legacy contracting businesses. These contracting businesses spend a large portion of their cost structure trying to acquire homeowners and complete projects. If we don't make it easy for them to do that and to complete these projects profitably, they're not going to be incentivized to do that. Got it. And then the third is rapid adoption is required to hit climate reduction targets. Simply put, this means that the clock is ticking for our climate goals and we need to move quickly. So thinking about these challenges, I think that challenge number 1 and challenge number 2 are linked. Basically, it comes down to we need to make sure that this transition is a good homeowner experience, and we also need to make sure that it's a good experience for contractors because we need those folks who are active all across the United States to help this transition happen. At Pearl Edison, we are building a platform to make this process easier for homeowners and easier for contractors. And there's many other folks, some of them in this room, who are doing things to both help homeowners and help contractors with new technological solutions that make it easier for electrification to happen. There's a lot of folks working on that problem. So I think it's a slightly less interesting thing to discuss today. I would say what is interesting is this rapid adoption. And that's because I'd say that there are some things that are different than it was in the 1930s and 1940s when electricity was sweeping across rural America. In that case, there was a massive pull for electricity. Homeowners, you didn't have to really sell them on a lot to say, hey, your quality of life will improve if you have access to lighting at night, or if you have new appliances such as refrigerators that keep your food cold so it doesn't go bad. That was an easy sell, and so once you got the right partnership structure in place, it just was a pull from all across the country. I'd say this is interesting because of those two challenges that we discussed for homeowners and contractors, we're gonna need to make this more of a push. There's going to have to be incentives and the right structure to get homeowners to make the switch and get contractors to adopt these new technologies. And so I actually would contend that the right group of organizations to help make this shift are organizations that already have trust and distribution to homeowners. These are organizations like utilities, like city governments, like state governments. They have the trust and relationships with homeowners already. And so what are the things that these organizations can do that are unique? Well, first, they already have a relationship with homeowners. And so what does this mean? This means that they can reach them easily, they can market to them cheaply, and that they can also play a role in helping them get what they need for their homes because they know a little bit about them. So that's powerful. The second thing that they can do is because they already have relationships with lots of homeowners, is it's a lot easier for them to guardrail quality. We need to make sure that the right systems are installed for the right people, and that at the end of the day, this helps us achieve our climate goals, which these partners are well positioned to do. And I'd say the last thing is these groups are well positioned to provide that assist. If the assist back in the 1930s was low interest loans from the government, I think the assists in this push environment are going to need to be a lot more thoughtful, creative, and tailored to the folks that need to make these changes. And so a lot of these partners are doing some of these things today. They're offering rebates and incentives. They are helping with low interest financing. They are incentivizing homeowners in unique ways with rate structures. I think that over the next 10 years, those partners have the platforms to be able to make the right incentives act in the way that we want them to help achieve our climate goals. And so at Pearl Edison, what we're doing is we exist to serve these partners. We want to make the experience easier for homeowners to figure out the right system for their unique home, homes. We want to make it more profitable for contractors to install these systems, and we want to partner with organizations like this to help them achieve their goals in the climate space so we can all achieve ours. I'd close by saying that if we do all this and we bring this together, that's going to be the right thing for the climate. We have to make sure that the homeowners can win in terms of what they install for their homes. Contractors can win by building profitable businesses. These partners get what they want out of the electrification movement, and at the end of the day, we achieve our climate objectives. Thank you.